Hi, everyone. So nice to have a chance to talk to you today, Monday the 16th. Um, we should be starting to think about revising your poems into a portfolio that you're going to turn into me at the end of the semester. You get a participation grade for doing what you're supposed to in the workshop environment. If you're behind, you can still add some late comments because we're all about to do some revising. I'm always revising too. But let's talk about some things that you might want to focus on as you begin to revise. You'll be getting some comments from me that are more specific to your poems, but when you revise, look at these things, right? And this is due at the very end of the semester, like finals week. I want you to look at the form, right? I want you to look at the shape of the poem. Do you have any like big long lines or little tiny lines? When you have those, it gives extra attention to those lines. Are they worth it, or should you try to fold it into a normal form? The form, when I eyeball it, I should be able to see organization, a plan, a guiding plan, sort of governing the whole thing. So that's one thing, a revision idea. Look at your lines and whether they are functioning um, to give the right kind of attention to ideas. Sometimes you want like a word or an image highlighted, so you'll bring the poem out of form to shine a spotlight on it. That's kind of rare though, and it really needs to live up to that. Okay, so form. Is form um, looking like there's a plan behind it? Another thing to think about in terms of form, lineation, right? Does your line communicate something singular idea by itself? Or do you have a lot jumbled into a line? Is the line the right length for the content? If it's a small idea, it should be a small line. If there's a lot to get across, a longer line. Boy, this is a really general kind of overview, right? But the important thing about the line is the end word. You might think the first word is vital to a line, but actually, the first word of a line you just brush right over. But when you get to the end of the line, there's a little emphasis. It's almost like the end of the line is underlined. But that last word in a line is really crucial. So ask yourself, did I end the line in the or an? Those aren't very good final words. Probably want to end with a strong noun or verb or adjective. But generally, avoiding weak words at the end. And some poets do it differently to good effect, but they're kind of breaking a rule, and you've got to make sure you kind of understand this basic rule. I want you to focus in on ly adverbs and ing verbs. If you're like saying like da da da, dreaming, da da da, well, it's better to say like I dream or he dreams, right? Make it a present, like forceful verb, not necessarily present tense, but not ing. What happens when you use an ly or an ing? Dreamily, dreaming, as opposed to dream, right? Dream is a nice word, has a nice sound to it. It's one strong syllable. And when you add some suffixes, prefixes to words, you end up with unstressed syllables. And it's nice to like have a word with its own sort of intrinsic wordness, right? Like the word itself in its own beautiful, pure form, right? That's a nice thing to have in a poem. Anytime you add clunky suffixes to it, unstressed syllables, you water it down. It's like, do I want a glass of bourbon or do I want like water in bourbon? You don't want either, please, unless you're of age. But trust me when I tell you that the pure thing is powerful and the diluted thing is diluted. So you don't want to dilute your image. It would be the same with chocolate syrup, right? You get what I'm saying. Don't dilute pure word with a bunch of baggage, like I mixed metaphors, but Don't weigh it down with a bunch of baggage. Let the word just be beautifully present. Okay? That was a long way of saying go for simple, straightforward words instead of a lot of Latinate syllables. Okay, what else do I want to say about revision? Check your beginning. Do you have a false start, or do you start in just the right place? I occasionally will look at my own poems and I'll see that I've written a whole stanza or two to lead into the idea of the poem. And I sometimes just need to cut those. And I'm tough. I've been doing this a lot of years, so I can handle that requirement. But it's hard for you when you're just beginning. You labored over an opening stanza, and you don't want to waste all that work. You like something in there. You feel like you want to keep this image or this element. Sometimes we refer to it in creative writing as killing your darlings. Sometimes you have to kill your darlings, and that might be a stanza or two that like are a wind up instead of the pitch, right? And then also look at your ending. Sometimes you need to get rid of it. You've over-explained. You don't trust your reader to get the poem without saying, this is why, but let the reader sometimes just do that calculation on her own, and you don't need to wrap things up in a tidy bow. Sometimes it's nice to leave a poem with some questions. Okay, so what has my advice been? Check the form, make sure it's in order. Check the line, make sure it ends strong. Check the words, each word. Is it weighed down with slack syllables, or is it a powerful, strong word on its own? Does it sound good? I didn't mention that, but go for sound in words. And then finally, I forgot what the last thing I said, but the last thing I said, false starts and false endings. Okay, those are some really basic things you can look at as you begin to revise. Watch for my comments too that are coming, and this is something on the back burner for the week. And I'm going to post some performance poetry stuff, and we can start talking about that this week too. But anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon.